What is up, everybody? Welcome to another Monday night. Tonight, right now, guys, just relaxing and answering questions. I could show some geckos, of course, but all day today I have been building. Well, not all day, but I mean, it feels like all day because in the Arizona sun, a few hours feels like all day, but it was a significant amount of time. So I was putting together another racking system, which I did do today, and I'll actually be posting a video up tomorrow or as soon as I can. I'll be posting a video on how I made this rack. I showed step by step with video how to make the rack, how much it cost. If you want me to make you one, how much that will cost. So let me know. But I plan to edit that video. It's a decent amount of time to edit. You know what I mean? Like the longer a video goes on, the more cuts that need to be made and the more video needs to be reviewed. So I'm gonna try to get it out tomorrow night. But I still wanted I had the option of editing the video like right now tonight and to possibly get it out tomorrow morning, but I've been so consistent with the live streams. I wanted to keep at it with the live streams. So but what is going on, everybody? Corel, Jacob, Crescent, glad you guys are here. I'm just relaxing a little. If as I was showing, I just got done making that rack today, and it was probably, I don't know, like 110, 115 degrees in my garage. Yeah, Crystal. So it's hot. And it was a little overcast today, but there were times today where the sun was out and it just gets to you. You know what I mean? You're working in your garage and bending over and all that kind of stuff. I did shave the beard. I was getting itchy. I needed to feel a change. I needed a change. And so every once in a while, I like shaving off the beard. So there you go, 114 over in Tempe. And in a garage can actually get a lot hotter because it's kind of like an incubator in a way. The heat hits the garage and heats it up. There's lots of concrete around. So yeah, glad that you're here. I'm glad I did this live stream. I really have appreciated you guys tuning in, and we've been so consistent with the Monday live stream that even though I'm tired, even though I want to edit the new video for how to build a leopard gecko rack, I still wanted to prioritize this live stream. And I want to promote Wednesday. So we have an extra special live stream that's happening Wednesday with, drum roll, brr, it's not a leopard gecko person, but he is a reptile breeder. He does own a reptile business, and he has a very successful reptile business. And so we want to talk about all things fun and all things reptile related, business related. His name is Bob Vu. So let you in on a little secret. I haven't really announced it to social media yet, but Bob Vu, check him out on social media if you haven't yet. First of all, the ball python community is amazing, guys. The ball python community motivates me so much to try to tie together our community stronger in the leopard gecko community, because I love lizards. I feel like lizards will always be number one in my heart, but the ball python community, they got it down when it comes to socialization and collaboration. There's tons of YouTube content creators. There's tons of collaboration that goes on, and they're constantly doing live streams and making videos with each other. I think that's so great, and that only helps bring more excitement to the hobby, more collaboration, more unity to the hobby. And so that is my goal with the leopard gecko hobby, guys, is I'm asking leopard gecko people as well as we speak. But Bob Vu, great guy, excellent businessman, smart businessman, as well as just phenomenal geneticist with ball pythons. And he has an amazing, very top tier collection. And so he's super cool, super down to earth. And he said that he's got time Wednesday to do the live with us. So yeah, we're in Santan, Arizona, basically. Gilbert, Arizona, which is, kind of that Santan area. I don't breed dogs, but I love Pomeranians. My parents had a Pomeranian. I love Pomeranians. I also like Huskies. I think that they're a bit big for me. Like, Pomeranian poo is like that, and I still cringe having to pick it up. I couldn't imagine picking up big dog poo, right? So, but Husky and the Alaskan it's not the Alaskan Husky, but it's called something. It's like the Alaskan something, and it's a really hairy, smaller version of the Husky. I really like that dog as well. And you know, I used to never like this dog, but what is that dog from Lady and the Tramp that has the long ears that go down to the ground? I told my wife, I was like, we need to get one of those dogs. It's just grown on my heart. I forget what it's called, but if you know what it's called, put it in the chat. Yeah, that's okay, Janelle. I mean, live streams are tough to make. I'm trying to do them more consistently every Monday and then spontaneously throughout the week. I'm asking a whole bunch of people right now to see if we could do live streams with Black Knight breeders, some of the top leopard gecko breeders, trying to see if we could do that. If not, I'll keep pulling on anybody that I can get a hold of that is exciting to talk about with reptiles, you know? So if you missed the earlier announcement, on Wednesday at this same time, 7 to 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Bob Vu will be joining us from Bob's Balls. And he has that Dragon Ball Z logo that he has. He's got a brand new facility that he built for his whole ball python collection. So I'm going to ask him questions about how to build a facility for your reptiles so that you can learn how to build a facility for reptiles. He's got excellent business IQ, so he could tell you about good investments like Bitcoin and stuff like that if you're interested. And he's also got good IQ for the business of reptiles, how to grow a business, hiring employees, becoming official LLC, tax documentation. We'll talk about all that stuff on Wednesday. So I feel like the ball python community is like light years ahead of where we are in the leopard gecko and lizard community for collaboration and talking business and reptiles. Like in the ball python community, they're okay talking about business and reptiles because it goes hand in hand. You can't get a good quality reptile without having a good quality business. And to have a good quality business, you have to be watching your expenses. You have to be watching your profits. You have to be reinvesting in new animals and different bloodlines. And the ball python community talks about that like 24/7. That's a perfectly fine conversation to have. But I feel like the leopard gecko community is a little bit closed up, a little bit closed off to having those difficult conversations or even having any conversation at all. So by me doing live streams and inviting people to do live streams, that's sort of me like calling out the leopard gecko community like, hey guys, let's collaborate, let's grow this, let's give people a platform to ask questions and have questions answered, you know? So trying to just do what I can with that, but I have a giant tornado times blood. Don't see much about tornado or blood. Yeah, the reason you don't see much about blood is because blood is just another version of tangerine, right? So if I have a blood leopard gecko and I have any other tangerine type of leopard gecko, a blood is just a leopard gecko that came out of a tangerine bloodline. And then the blood specifically has a little bit darker and more deep orange to it. It's not like as bright of an orange. A lot of times blood is not mixed with albino. So you'll see a lot of bloods that are dark, like a rich orange. Not like a black orange, but it's like a regular color, like a Halloween orange, because it doesn't have albino in it. When you mix albino into tangerine, it makes the orange coloration that much more brighter, that much more like fire of a color. So blood, just think of blood as like normally not mixed with albino, and also it's a little bit darker of an orange, more orange of an orange compared to like a reddish orange, which is like an albino tangerine is the goal with albinos. So but there is a big spread when it comes to breeding tangerines. So you could have a blood tangerine that might be diluted a little bit, and it doesn't look as good as a normal tangerine that maybe is not a blood or is not called anything special. It just has super nice genetics. So when it comes to tangerine, it's cool to name something a certain line. You know what I mean? Like Inferno, it sounds cool. Blood sounds cool. Red Diamond sounds cool. All of these are tangerine bloodlines. Mandarin sounds cool. All of these are tangerine bloodlines. And don't get me wrong, they each bring a little bit of a different secret sauce, right, to the tangerine game. But at the end of the day, they are all just tangerines. Forget the name. Throw out the name Blood. Throw out the name Mandarin. Throw out the name um, Inferno. Throw all those names out. And what you have at the end of the day is an orange gecko. An orange gecko is an orange gecko is an orange gecko. They're all orange geckos. And so Blood is just one line of orange gecko. Now, when it comes to Tornado, I believe the Tornado is involving the and I don't have any yet, but the Tornado is involving the rainwater albino genetic. So if for you guys who don't know, albino has three main types of albino that are all different, and they can't interbreed and produce albinos with each other. I mean, they can, but they won't produce albinos. So the Tremper is the most popular, and that is characterized by good coloration, like good brightening coloration, kind of like grayish, steel grayish eyes. The rainwater is characterized by a little bit darker coloration and darker color eyes as an albino. And then the Bell is often characterized as the lightest color eyes, like for albino, almost pink sometimes, and a little bit of a lighter, brighter body color. So those are the three main albino versions. Tremper is by far the most heavily worked with. Bell is the second most popular. Rainwater is the third most popular. So that's probably why you don't hear it talked about a lot. Cocker Spaniel, that's what it is. Yes, thank you. No, Bloodhound. I'm sorry. Anyone who loves Bloodhounds, not for me. I don't like the slobber, the drool. That's cool. I know that people find all kinds of things cute, right? Like little pug faces people find cute. Not for me. Maybe one day. But like, I don't like those kind of... I'm so germophobic sometimes and OCD and nitpicky. I can't have a dog drooling all over me and stuff. Like, I'm sorry. But Cocker Spaniel, man, I did not... That was not on my top favorite dog to get. But the Cocker Spaniel definitely is. The Alaskan Malamute, I think you said. Yeah, that's cool. Jaden, yeah, glad to see you. So the tangerine in my thumbnail came from parents that were Tangelo, which is Ron Tremper's line of tangerine, and Inferno, which I don't know who came up with the Inferno line of tangerine, but as tangerine progressed in the United States, different breeders started focusing on different characteristics with their tangerine, and then they named it a different quality to be associated with that trait. Now, just because you have a Blood or an Inferno or a Mandarin doesn't mean that your gecko has the same traits as the original owner's line had, and the reason why he named it that. Because so many breeders are outcrossing the tangerine. For example, if you take a pure Inferno that came from the original breeder that looks really, really bright and really good, and then you breed it to an okay tangerine, the babies are going to be mediocre. And people still might advertise them as Infernos, but really they're Inferno crosses. They're only 50% Inferno. But people make the mistake of advertising it as a full Inferno, and I think that's why names don't matter so much today in the game of genetics. What's more important is the visuals. So if there's anything that I could teach you about line-bred genetics, like Bold Stripe, Black Knight, Tangerine, what else is line-bred? What else? That's the main stuff. Bold Stripe, Tangerine, Black Knight. Those are going to be the main three line breds that you work with. If there's anything I can stress to you guys about that, go for visuals over name. Hey, hon.
Hi. Are you using that extension cord?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's one in the garage.
Okay.
Thanks, hon. Love you. Oh man, just tired today. But if you missed it, I was building a cage all day in the garage, which I'm gonna edit a video for, and I think you guys will really like. But forget about the names. Even though I plan to name my own line of tangerine one day, because the focus that I have in my collection is bright orange mixed with bright green. So emerine and tangerine. And there's a couple names that I'm thinking of calling it. as I get deeper and deeper into the project. But as you can see, like based on the thumbnail, the specific qualities of tangerine that I work with, it creates a lot of nice purple hues, green hues, orange hues. So I want to coin that something one day. And if you have a name suggestion, please drop it in the comments and I'll definitely consider it. But if there's one thing I can stress over name is the visual quality of the animal. You could spend $1,000 on a blood tangerine and someone sold it to you as a blood, but it is not good tangerine quality. Or you could buy a tangerine from a small town breeder that's been line breeding and project breeding for very long, and you could get it for like $200 and get a phenomenal tangerine leopard gecko. So quality over name when it comes to line breeding. When it comes to Mendelian breeding, it doesn't matter. A snow will always produce a snow. You know what I mean? Like if a gecko has the snow genetic, it expresses it in the same way. Each gecko is going to be a little bit different, but it carries over the same switch of traits is what happens. So every time a leopard gecko inherits the white and yellow gene, every time it inherits the snow gene, every time it inherits the albino gene, these are Mendelian genetics. Mendelian genetics are genetics that make a night and day change with one single inheritance. Line bred genetics are genes that are many, polygenetic, it's many genes going into the gecko's DNA to create a certain look. And so tangerine is many genes of orange combining to create a certain look. Black Knight is many genes of black combining to create a black gecko. Bold stripe is many genes of pattern alteration to create a bold stripe gecko. So line breeding is many genes combining to create a certain look. Mendelian breeding is just one gene, one location being altered in the gecko's DNA to create a completely drastic or a different look. Forgot what I was talking about, so let's go back to the thumbnails. Oh yeah, tangerines. What's in my thumbnail is our specific line of tangerine that we've been working with that I've been trying to heighten for purple, green, and orange combination. So Blake asks, I have a raptor, which is a eclipse tremper. I have a max snow, a super hypo, a hyper exanthic. Sorry, my brain's not working right now. I'm trying to think of what hyper exanthic means. Exanthic, help me out, chat. Because hyper means enhanced. Hypo means reduced. Hyper exanthic. That's a term you don't really see too much in leopard geckos, but I believe that you have a snow because, or the opposite of a snow, you have a gecko that has a hyper amount of xanthophores. Xanthophores are yellow pigment, orange pigment, red pigment. So if you have a hyper version of that, that means you have a gecko that has a lot of orange, red, and yellow. So hyperexanthic, just so you know, that's not a term that we really use a lot in leopard geckos, but it is a genetic term that can be used to describe the look of an animal. So what gene would you go for next? So if you have a raptor, now this is really completely up to you, but if you breed a snow to your max snow, you'll produce super snows. And if you start breeding tangerine into your raptors and into your hypos, you'll start producing orange hypos and orange raptors. So for your raptor, I would get another raptor. For your max snow, I would breed a snow. And for your hyperexanthic, I would get another leopard gecko that is similar to that look so that you can create some really nice enhanced coloration. So the only way to enhance colors is by breeding it to another gecko that has similar coloration. That will enhance the colors. Slobber makers, yeah. That's cool. I mean, I definitely appreciate a good big dog, and I can appreciate I can appreciate the difference that everybody has in the qualities that they seek for. But it's just kind of funny because like I'm not like the smallest guy. I'm not a huge guy, but I'm not the smallest guy. I used to work out a lot, but not as much anymore. But you know what I mean. And so I'm kind of like this fairly big guy, but I love these really small dogs, like Boston Terriers. I love terriers. I love Pomeranians. I think they look like little wolves. And then also the Alaskan dogs, the Husky dogs is a big dog that I like. And then the Cocker Spaniel. That's my sweetheart dog right there. I want to get that. Emerizon Tang, but changed. Oh, that's cool. Emerizon Tang, but change the I in immersion to E, so it specifies you're working with high green. That's really cool idea, Crescent. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Immersian, Immersian Tang. That's pretty cool. Love my geckos, but I'm also excited about a dubia. Oh, good job. Dubia roaches are the future for the reptile industry. Get into breeding dubias. That will help you support your passion and hobby for free, basically. Oh, okay. So yeah, hyperexanthic would be high yellow, right? So xanthophores and leopard geckos are anything that produces yellow, orange, or red pigment. So in leopard geckos, we mainly see yellow, but orange is obviously another popular one, and then red is something that we are trying to enhance. So if you have a hyperxanthic leopard gecko, like a super yellow leopard gecko, look for a bold stripe that is also really yellow, or breed a white and yellow to it. The bold stripe project line is a project line that has some very high yellow leopard geckos in it. And of course, the white and yellow project line is a Mendelian trait that changes the look of the gecko and enhances the xanthophores, which are the yellow, the red, and the orange pigments in the gecko, and it creates great contrast between dark and light colors. I don't know. I'm new. I was under the impression it's a recessive morph. So, yeah, so hyperexanthic, if that truly is a high yellow gecko, that would not be recessive. It would be line bred for higher qualities of yellow. But if what you have is a snow, and that's what you meant to say, no, even that's not recessive. There's only a very few amount of recessive genes in leopard geckos. Albino is recessive. Eclipse is recessive. Cipher is a brand new one, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. That's a new one. You probably don't have that. That's recessive. What else is recessive here? What else, guys? What else? Blizzard is recessive. So there's only 4 different types of recessive genes that I'm remembering right now in leopard geckos. There might be more, but my brain is tired. And these are the main 4. Albino, Eclipse, Albino, and there's 3 kinds of albinos, but Albino, Eclipse, Cipher, and Blizzard. Am I missing any? Correct me if I'm missing any, but those are the only 4 types of eclipses. Now, recessives. Now, you can have any of these recessives with any line bred traits, like a high yellow gecko, an orange gecko, a bold striped gecko, a bold spot gecko, a snow gecko. You know what I mean? You can mix these recessives with anything. So when the breeder sold you the gecko, it might be like albino, high yellow leopard gecko, and that might be what he was talking about when it comes to recessive. Yeah. Enhance yellow whites. Any tips on getting a female in the mood to breed? Good question. It's rare that a female not breed, but in the event that she is not breeding, give her time, give her a couple days off breeding. Make sure she has her own tub and her own space. Make sure she has a 90-degree hotspot, a dark, humid hide to retreat to that is warm. Put the humid hide on the warm side because they like to sit in there. It's nice and toasty and it produces extra humidity. Make sure she has food with calcium and vitamins. Make sure she has fresh water every 2 days. and try not to handle her or bug her too much. Those would be my recommendations for trying to get her to breed, you know what I mean, to get more relaxed and allow a male to breed with her. Unfortunately, there are a couple of females that will allow the male to breed eventually, you know, as you keep trying, or not allow the male to breed. That this is rare, but it does happen. You might just have a female that is not going to breed that year. So, yeah, Ron Tremper said Supergiant was recessive, but I've been talking to a few people, and this just shows you how much there always is to learn, right? Ron Tremper is like the godfather of the leopard gecko world. He even has a morph named after him, the Tremper albino, which is the most popular genetic trait that there is in existence, right? It's mixed into everything in leopard geckos. He thinks that the supergiant gene, which is a gene that he so-called discovered, is a recessive gene. He's claiming it's a recessive gene, but people in the hobby today that are working with the supergiant gene, there's two other opinions of experts in the hobby today. Experts in the hobby today say that it is a incomplete dominant gene, meaning that it requires one copy produces a giant, two copies produces an even bigger animal called the supergiant, and other experts in the hobby today think that it is purely line bred. Line bred, the easiest way to understand line bred in leopard geckos is the example of height in humans, okay? Let's say you take Shaquille O'Neal, which is a 7-foot monster of a human being, and he has a baby with a 6'5" female. What are the chances that his kids are going to be small? Very low, because he has a lot of height genes in his DNA. And she has a lot of height genes in her DNA. And when the DNA combines, the kids will inherit, most likely, a lot of height genes. Now, anomalies can happen, and he might have a short baby. But in general, when you combine a tall person with a tall person, you're going to get tall children. It's the same with leopard geckos. When you combine a big leopard gecko with a big leopard gecko, you're going to get big leopard geckos. At least that is the tendency, right? So there's three expert opinions on the supergiant gene in the hobby today. And if this doesn't teach you that we're all still learning and growing and not to harbor bitter feelings against anybody who might say something that's a little off or whatever the case might be, I don't know what will. But experts say that it's recessive. Experts say that it's incomplete dominant. Experts say that it's line bred. There are three different expert opinions in the leopard gecko hobby right now on this specific trait. So I digress. By the reason, I'm not yelling at you guys. I just say that because there's a lot of people out there that get super, super nitpicky. And they'll be like, I don't know. They'll just get super nitpicky at you and you know what I mean? And just try to put you down or belittle you or, you know, stomp you into the ground or, you know, act like they, you know, just take like a domineering effect over you. When the reality is, if the experts can't even agree over certain things in our hobby, then isn't there a chance that everybody could be wrong to a certain degree when, whenever they say something, right? Like I might say something right now because that's what the accepted hobby suggests right now. But tomorrow, some scientific data might prove that wrong. And I'm like telling you, like with 100% of surety, oh no, the snow is incomplete dominant. The snow is incomplete dominant. And then science proves that it's actually recessive. This is just an example. I'm pretty sure science will never prove it's recessive, but let's just say it does. Science proves it's recessive. And now everything that I guaranteed you has now changed. It doesn't mean that I'm a bad guy. It doesn't mean that I misinformed you. All it simply means is that I was wrong about something, or all it simply means is that the whole hobby was wrong about something, right? Knowledge improves. Knowledge moves on, right? The world was flat a few hundred years ago and everybody accepted that. Pluto was a planet. Sorry, hashtag ice planet, however they reclassified it now. You know what I mean? Pluto was a planet. The world was flat. The sky is blue. All of these are perceptional based truths until proven otherwise, right? Like the only reason the sky is blue is because of the refraction of light that is actually kept in our atmosphere. When in reality, the sky really isn't blue. It's just our perception of the color blue that is being reflected in our atmosphere and then portrayed into our atmosphere. And that's what we look at, right? And we constantly see other colors in the sky as well. Orange, red, yellow. So I'm ranting on now. My main point was I'm not yelling at you guys. It just kind of bugs me and pokes me in the wrong way when people get super nitpicky over our hobby, when at the end of the day, this is a hobby. Just like anything else, knowledge is continually increasing, continually advancing. And so I don't think anybody should take a domineering effect over anybody else. And I don't think that anybody should be nitpicking on anybody else. And, you know, I think we should all get along for the most part, unless someone is like heinously and purely and intentfully in a bad way, like abusing animals. Even then, I wouldn't say to go and harm that person, right? Or wish ill will upon that person. But I would very clearly state that, hey, I really disagree with what you're doing right now. And we can have disagreements in the hobby, right? Disagreements are perfectly fine. But once disagreements start putting you on two different levels, like, oh, because I disagree with you, you're a worse person than I am. That's what I have a problem with. And I just talk loud naturally. But anyway, I'm not talking loud to you guys or yelling at you guys. As you see, I'm talking in the same way. But when I mention stuff, it's not directed at like new people or people entering the hobby. If anything, it would be directed towards like older people in the hobby that kind of get nitpicky at like newer people in the hobby. I don't know. I just think that's Gecko boy. I have a question. On Morph Market, there is a male leopard gecko that apparently is both gem snow and max snow. It's possible for a leopard gecko to have the gem snow gene and to have the max snow gene, but you will not be able to tell which gene is expressive unless it creates a super snow. So I've heard rumors. I haven't experienced this personally, but a lot of what I read back in the day said that if you mix a gem snow with a max snow, it will create a mac super snow. For example, a gem snow and a gem snow will never create a super snow. A tug snow and a tug snow will never create a super snow. But a gem snow or a tug snow and a max snow, people were saying back in the day that actually creates a super snow. If that is the case, then you just really have to trust that the breeder is a reputable person. Look at their statistics, look at their reputation, look at their feedback. Make sure they're a reputable person that's known for telling the truth and selling accurate geckos and accurate information. And then, yes, you can have gem and max snow in the same gecko. Yeah, NDBE is recessive also. You're right. Marble Eyes and NDBE. Thank you. That's a good reminder. Murphy's Patternless, of course. See, I was forgetting. So I don't work with any of those three, so it wasn't on the top of my mind. But those are three other recessives. Hey, Frank, my eggs are going on 37 at 90 degrees. What are signs that they're going to hatch? Signs that they're going to hatch. Check out our embryo video. If you have not seen my video on how to tell the embryo development of your leopard gecko, it's called fertile or infertile, I think. You can actually flashlight the egg and you could see if the egg is dark, it's getting ready to hatch. If the egg is still red, the embryo is still growing. If the egg is yellow, when you shine the flashlight up, the embryo never grew. What's going on, Brooke? Gilbert Gecko's in the house. Good to have you here. Josh, you've taught me a lot so far. Thank you. I want to start a small-scale hobby breeding. who knows where it could lead. Yeah, hobby breeding and small scale businesses, that's the future of this hobby, guys, for sure, without a doubt, because reptiles is becoming such a mainstream pet and hobby. It's a good time to jump in now, and if you enjoy it, it's a good time to invest in a hobby that could be turned into a hobby business in the future. Thank you so much, Josh. I really appreciate that. I'm really looking forward to getting my video edited and out tomorrow because so many people have been asking for how to build a rack system. And the more people that know how to build a rack system, the more people can become breeders. And you know what I mean? And house lots of geckos in a small space. So I built this today. I filmed it. I'm going to get off the live stream at about 1 hour. Count my words and remind me. We're 35 minutes in right now. I'm going to get off at 1 hour so that I could start the night early and get some potential editing done for this video. So I could maybe get it out tomorrow morning, or worst case scenario, get it out Wednesday morning. Also, if you missed it, Wednesday evening, I'm going to be dropping the thumbnail and the link for this, but we have a special guest. Bob Vu of Bob's Balls is the name of his company. If you want to follow him on Instagram, Facebook, he has a YouTube channel, but he doesn't do much YouTube. Extremely successful ball python breeder, young guy, been into ball pythons for a while. He made the right investments. He made the right choices. He's going to talk to us a little bit. We're going to talk business. We're going to talk ball pythons. We're going to talk other places to invest your money if you have a little bit extra money, like Bitcoin and stuff like that he does. He's just a super smart, super savvy business person, and we're going to have 2 hours to hang out with him and pick his brain. That's going to be Wednesday night, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. here on the channel. I agree with you. What you said earlier, the leopard gecko community should be more closer. I get the secrecy of a project that works with, but we should, yeah, and that's just my personal opinion, right? Everyone has their own opinion. Everyone has their different opinions. But my opinion is that we really shouldn't have secrets in this hobby. You know, like if I'm on the brink of a nice project or a new gene, I think you should talk about that. If something goes wrong with a gene, I think you should talk about that. I can't tell you how many people I've asked onto our show here to talk about the lemon frost gene. Everyone gives me crap about it, right? Oh, you're a horrible person. You're a horrible breeder. You don't care anything about the animals. I invite them onto our show to bring their evidence, to talk about why the lemon frost is bad, to put it out there into the world, and they won't do it. If you so firmly believe the lemon frost is this horrible gene and that I'm a horrible person, let's talk about it. I'm not going to hate you. You don't have to hate me. We can disagree, but let's talk about it so that the hobby benefits as a whole. Secrecy never benefits anybody. I mean, never is kind of an exaggeration, right? Like, you probably don't want to see your parents doing it or anything, right? Secrecy probably benefits you in that case, but I'm being a little silly. You guys get the point. It does press my buttons a little bit. It does poke me a little bit how secretive the leopard gecko world can be. And that's why I want to open it up as much as possible. Let's talk about the things that are controversial. Let's talk about upcoming projects. Let's talk about where the hobby is going in the future. That's the only way the hobby is going to grow. Otherwise, if you just stay with your own little clique, right? I call it the Facebook clique because that's where this hobby started. If you only stay with your own little Facebook clique, you will never expand into other audiences and gather other intel and make other relationships. If you're happy with that, okay. But I just think that that's holding the hobby back as a whole. That's my opinion. And if another leopard gecko breeder has a different opinion about that or more insight to add that possibly I'm not perceiving, then again, let's talk about it. But not behind closed doors. Let's talk about it in front of people. Let's talk about it on live stream. Let's get other people involved so that, you know, if 2 heads are better than 1, what about 1,000 heads? You know what I mean? Rome wasn't built by 2 people. You know what I mean? It was built by a whole community. So in the same way, the leopard gecko community will be built by not 1 person, not 2 people, not even 3 people. The leopard gecko community will be built by everybody tying in together, from the new entry level keeper being encouraged by the experienced keeper, and by the experienced keeper connecting with the OGs that are in the game. You know what I mean? Because there are some OGs in the game that have been in this for 20, 30 years, you know, and I would like to see them enter into these newer platforms like YouTube and Instagram and do well here and share their information here and talk about their experiences here, instead of keeping things a secret or making people message you behind closed doors. Like, that's just not the most efficient way to get information out there anymore. It used to be 20 years ago when there was no YouTube, and, you know, a lot of people weren't doing YouTube. But now that we got YouTube and Instagram Live and even Facebook Live, I mean, no one really uses Facebook Live, but even Facebook Live, there are so many ways to get information out and to connect with the community in a digital live version. I think that's the way to go. And yeah, again, I don't like secrecies. Like, if I have a project that I'm working on, like I told you, my secret sauce to my tangerine project is combining emerine with tangerine and purple hues. So somebody else can go out there now and be like, oh, I'm going to get more purple geckos, more orange geckos, and more green geckos than GeekyGeckoCreations has, and I'm going to beat him to that project. Okay, do what you do. Like, there's plenty of room in this hobby for everybody. We don't have to excommunicate people. We don't have to cut people off. We don't have to be secretive and behind closed doors. I digress with that. So Josh, I'm putting out the blueprints to the rack tomorrow. Oh, well, not tomorrow. I mean, I'm going to be editing the video this week, and my goal is to get it out tomorrow or Wednesday. Brazil. Yeah, concrete, and that's another good example. Concrete and plywood does make a sustainable rack for a time, you know. Jao, I don't know how to pronounce that. Sorry. Fernando Ribeiro. That's cool. I love seeing people from different countries, guys. We get people from Spain, Italy, Indonesia, Asia, Philippines is big for us. I love it. Would you rename the Lemon Frost product if you... Oh, that's a good point. That's a good question. So with the Lemon Frost gene right now, the guy that started the project and myself, we've noticed something, and there are more white, kind of ghost-like lemon frosts that are coming out. So I've kind of just coined them like Ghosty Frost or Frosty Ghosts. I don't know which one will stick. I got to talk to him, you know, as well, in respect to him starting this project, and see if we wind up coming up with a name for it. But there's bright yellow lemon frost, and then there's these whitish pale ghosty frosts, right? I would say that we would probably rename the ghosty. Well, first of all, the lemon frost project that I'm working on is kind of renamed already. The name of the project is called Frosty Turk, because it's a lemon frost, which is a Eublepharis macularis leopard gecko, combined with a Eublepharis turkmenicus gecko, which is the turkmenicus, and the original creator of the line called it Frosty Turk. Now, I'm also putting the lemon frost into fasciolatus and afghanicus, and so if I was to create a line of afghanicus or a line of fasciolatus, I would probably name it something different, so that Frosty Turk is associated with turkmenicus blood, and like Frosty Fascio would be like associated with the fasciolatus bloodline, and Frosty Afghanicus would be associated with the Afghanicus line. But if I created a perfectly pure line of lemon frost, I think I would rename it because there's too much negative energy and bad juju tied into the current name Lemon Frost now. If I'm not the only one working on it, if me and the other people involved found a clean line of Lemon Frost that year after year produced clean animals, that's the key. Year after year, it needs to produce clean animals, and that needs to go on for 5 to 10 years for it really to be proven clean. You know what I mean? Then yeah, what would I name it though? I don't know. That'd be interesting. Come up with ideas in the chat of what you think we should name the Lemon Frost line if we breed the issues out of it. Thank you, Gecko Boy. I appreciate your support, my man. Yeah, for the most part, Estevan, transparency is the way to go. And that's how the ball python world has succeeded. Back in the day, when people were first breeding reptiles, especially ball pythons, as they were blowing up, people would keep their secrets a secret. Or they would give you false information because they did not want you to produce clutches. They did not want you to produce eggs. They wanted to kill your collection. They wanted to give you bad information so that you purposely did not grow, so that their company would gain the attention. Their company would grow. But the ball python world is not like that anymore. Now, they share everything about incubation, mostly everything about projects. There's a couple people that might hold some things back secretive, but they reveal the information within reasonable time. It's not going on for like 5-10 years where they're holding secrets. You know, they reveal everything about incubating eggs, everything to make you successful at what you do. They hold live streams to answer live questions. They teach you business. They talk about taxes, all of that. The leopard gecko hobby just needs to do the same. Just plain and dry. And there's a few people out right now that are pursuing this. Luna Geckos is one of them. Geckopia is another of them. I've had both of them on my live stream before, and I think those guys are part of the future change of the leopard gecko hobby. Because the same change that the ball python hobby went through, which is getting off of Facebook, getting off of the toxicity of Facebook, and getting into YouTube, live streams, Instagram lives, TikTok, getting into this new age platform of marketing and connecting people, that's when the ball python world became super cool, because people who had a heart for the hobby and had a heart for teaching people and a heart for sharing just started making their own videos and sharing tips, sharing tricks, collaborating with other breeders, talking, you know what I mean? Like, there's beef in the ball python world, don't get me wrong, but even two people who disagree can still respect each other's businesses and not talk bad about each other and not drag each other down. So the leopard gecko hobby is behind right now. But there are change makers that are taking the route that the ball python people did and starting collaboration and starting to make that change. Luna Geckos is one of them. Geckopia is another. We are trying to do the same thing here at GeekyGeckoCreations, and I'm sure there's others that I don't really know of, or they're just beginning to come up. But Tucson's finest Leos, Juniors Leos, these are people that I've met that I know that are promoting collaboration, promoting new age marketing, new age connecting. I think that's what's really going to help the hobby grow and be less secretive, right? Like, you should be able to go to a big breeder and be like, hey, let me see your setup. Okay, here, check it out. Here's my setup. Here's what I do. Here's my incubator. Here's how to make a rack. Here's how to outcross. Here's how to this. Here's how to that. That should be out there 24/7 in videos every single day, like it is in the ball python world. In the ball python world, there's thousands of videos that go up every single year about how to incubate eggs, how to breed ball pythons, how to set up a leopard gecko rack, how to make a leopard gecko rack, how to hotwire heat tape, yada, 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 etc. Projects, live streams. Man, the ball python world, they've got it down. And respectably, it shows in their numbers. On Morph Market, in the last 5 years, 180,000 ball pythons have been sold. 180,000 just on Morph Market. You want to know how many leopard geckos have been sold in the last 5 years? 18,000. The ball python world literally has a 10 times multiple over the leopard gecko world, which arguably, leopard geckos should be more popular than ball pythons. They're smaller. They require less space. They're easier to keep. They're more child-friendly. They come in many different colors and combinations, and there's new morphs and genes and combinations coming out. The only reason the leopard gecko market and the leopard gecko world sort of tanked and crashed after 2010 is because people did not integrate. People did not change. The biggest breeders in the hobby, they did not integrate into YouTube. They did not integrate into collaboration. They did not integrate into Instagram and live streams. They did not integrate the same way the ball python market and world has integrated. Therefore, when you promote less, there's less people in the hobby and less people buying, less customers. So that's why it's a good idea to promote. It's a good idea to encourage. It's a good idea to reveal information and not hold back information, because it only makes the hobby greater. Saludos. Oh, Apex is going good. Sorry, I forgot. I didn't take down your information. This has been a busy week. But my my screen name on Apex, for anybody who wants to invite me as their friend and learn, is Frank Cuz 314. So Frank, Frank, Cuz, Cuzz, because that's the first part of my last name, 314. That is my gamer tag on Apex. Because I play Apex sometimes, especially in between like cleaning and stuff like that. So, hey, Brooke, your rat is doing good. I almost fed it off because I didn't know if you had interest, and I got snakes that I could feed. But I was like, I'm going to wait until the next time Brooke is here, and then I'm going to show her the little case that I have for it. Look, Brooke. So for anybody who doesn't know, Brooke is our new assistant here at GeekyGeckoCreations. And she developed a liking for this one rat that had an eye issue when we were feeding the ball pythons the other day. So Brooke is in the chat right now. Some of you guys might remember Brooke from the stream, but this little rat had an eye issue, and so I set it up in its own tub. I've been giving it water daily and food. Wow, he ate all his food from a couple days ago. He is so cute, so well-mannered, and he's here waiting for you, Brooke. You could probably still see a little squinting of that eye, but that eye was completely red, and it was really, really bad. Now it looks normal, like it's not red and inflamed. But this is your rat, whatever you want to name him. Talk to your dad, Brooke. I'll give you this. I'll give you that whole little setup, and that's all that you need to keep him in. But let me know quick so I don't feed him to one of the snakes. Or maybe we'll just keep him now forever as a laboratory pet. But it's tough for me to keep something like that as a pet, because I could really use it to feed off ball pythons that I'm trying to, fatten up and get bigger, number one. And then number two, there's already a lot of tasks and responsibilities around here, and that's just another one added to my list for now while I'm by myself. Once I actually have hired employees, that's the future, guys, hired employees. And so on Wednesday, when we do the live stream with Bob Vu, he has, I think it's 4 or 6 hired employees. He's obviously an employee, but he's at a point now where he just manages the operation. He doesn't clean tubs anymore. He probably ships the animals. We'll talk to him about that. But As you grow, at some point, it becomes more beneficial to hire an employee and then um, be doing whatever you do as, you know, the CEO of the company, which is whatever it might be, marketing, sales, communicating with people, making videos. All of that is a great promotional platform that gets taken away by the grunt work of cleaning geckos, feeding geckos, breeding geckos, you know. And I really like to breed geckos. Like, I don't know if I'll ever give that up, maybe. But at the same time, you also want to be able to go away, go on vacation, and trust somebody to collect eggs and breed geckos, take care of the collection. And so Brooke is our trainee trusted person, and she's doing great so far. She's fantastic. Little Ratatouille is here for you, Brooke. Great to see you, Brenda. That's good that your little gecko is not thrown up anymore. Lemonade. I like that. Lemon frost to lemonade. Oh, that's a cool one. That's a cool one. I can wait 15 years. So I'm really debating over whether I want to sell or release some of our Project Lemon Frost. So I'll keep you guys updated. Right now we have we're at almost 30 Project Lemon Frost that we're keeping and holding back and examining. But that's a lot. It takes up a lot of rack space, time, food, you know. So I might decide to sell or release some to people that might want to work the project as well, create their own observations, and then report back to us whatever they report about their observations, about their testing and what they're focused on and what their breeding projects entail. So let me know if you guys have any interest in that. I know if that were to happen, again, I would get another crap ton of negative energy poured down towards me, like, oh, now he's releasing the sick geckos into the public. You know, originally I did not have plans to release any of the geckos, and I still might not until they prove out one way or the other. But you know, they take up a lot of space, a lot of time, and also I'm just one man. We're just one company. If I had somebody else, like other people like you guys, helping to work the project in other directions that I'm not focusing on, you guys can help the project grow. So let me know what you think. Anyway, Lemonade is a great name if we create a clean line of Lemon Frost. After 10 years of clean, proven breeding, it's permafrost. That's good. I like that. How about just Frost for the name because they are no longer lemons? Ooh, that'd be cool. Car lemons, get it? Yeah, car lemons, like the car smelling things, right? Yeah, I used to not be into. I think lizards are always going to be my favorite. But the thing about ball pythons that's really cool is that they don't take up so much space, similar to leopard geckos, and they come in a plethora of genetic diversity. So there's so many projects to get into that can be really, really fun, similar to leopard geckos. But of course, there's more genes with ball pythons. It's a different market. So I wanted to dip my feet into that market, but my heart will always be with leopard geckos. Like if someone said, hey, choose one reptile to work with, hands down, leopard geckos. But I love tegus. I love Dumeril's boas. I love ball pythons. I love ribbon snakes, which we work with. Tegus, like I said, I love all of those. But if someone said, hey, choose one and the rest got to go, it's leopard geckos all the way. So that will always be in my heart, you know. Oh, cool. Yeah, I forgot. Luna does do some live streams on this night as well. Thank you, Eamon. I appreciate that. That's what we're trying to do. Honestly, Luna is on the same page as I am. You know, he even has some podcast that he calls Safe Zone Podcast because I think, especially on Facebook, it's so toxic. People either chew you out, they yell down your throat, they don't answer your question, They won't collaborate or communicate with you. It's just such a negative atmosphere sometimes. But YouTube is a much more open atmosphere. So Luna Geckos, he's another great guy. He will never judge you for a question or a project you're working on. You know what I mean? Within reason. I mean, of course, if someone is like breeding geckos and then smashing them with a sledgehammer just for views, I'm sure that he and I would have an opinion negative against that, you know. But at the end of the day, guys, I mean, who am I to really critically judge anybody, right? Let me talk about that for a second. I've done some heinous stuff in my life. I've stolen, you know what I mean? I've stolen from my parents, like straight out of their purse, straight out of their wallet. And I've done much worse things that I can't even mention on stream. So who am I to condemn somebody else for doing heinous things when I used to do heinous things? Now, I can tell them, hey, look, what you're doing isn't right. And here's a few reasons why I've learned to leave behind the pursuit of negativity and heinous actions, or how I've grown out of it, right? Because we all start as teenagers. We think we rule the world. We're kind of cocky and arrogant sometimes, snotty and gossipy. But eventually, some or most of us grow out of that, right? And we become adults and mature, and we actually care about other individuals, and, you know, we grow out of that. But who am I to condemn somebody who hasn't grown out of that? Because I've done the same things. Plain and simple, right? My female Leo is about to lay her first clutch. I'm so excited. She is a bold normal, and the male is a super hypo. Yeah, you're going to get some cool stuff from that. Lemonade. Ooh, lemon drop. I like that. Lemon drop. Lemonade, lemon drop, or lemon fizz. And we're going to have multiple projects, right? The fasciolatus project could be like lemon fizz. The Afghanicus project could be lemon drop. And then the Turkmenicus project, or the Afghanicus project, could be lemonade. And then the Frosty project could be lemon drop. Yeah, that's cool. Good ideas, guys. Could a leopard gecko breed with a fat-tailed gecko? Not to my knowledge. The species are too far differentiated. So, okay. Within the world of genetics, DNA can only combine when it is different in a small way. Okay? Now, just as an example, all human beings share 99% of the same DNA. It's only a fraction of a percent of DNA that differs, that changes our appearance, our personality, whatever. You know what I mean? Changes us. Okay? So that being said, the difference between leopard geckos and fat-tailed geckos is too far to create a viable offspring, or any offspring. To my knowledge, I've never known anybody to create a fat tail and a leopard gecko baby. The DNA strands are too far apart. In our current state of genetics, observation, experimentation, and science, it's too far apart. But things always change, right? People were never able to go to the moon. Now they can. People were never able to go to Mars. Now we're on our way. You know what I mean? So things change. And yeah, sometimes when you do combine animals who are not the same species, you could potentially get some defects, but more or less, you're going to strengthen the bloodlines. So that's why people do this in leopard geckos. They'll take a Eublepharis macularis and they'll breed it with a Turkmenicus, a fasciolatus, an Afghanicus, all of these subspecies and other species of leopard geckos that it can crossbreed with, because if there's any defects in this gecko's DNA, it will most likely be overwritten by the DNA that is being implemented by these other species and subspecies. Hence, the Frosty Turk project. When you take a lemon frost that has defective DNA and you breed it with non-defective geckos, now you're increasing the chances of the defects being overwritten by the non-defects. Okay, that's the whole theory behind outcrossing. When I had set up my under the tank heater for my gecko, I had to reference a snake guide. Yeah, isn't that crazy? You're trying to set up a leopard gecko rack and you have to look at ball python videos. Like, man, we as a leopard gecko hobby, we just dropped the ball. There's no other way to put it. We should have been making content and YouTube and videos 10, 12 years ago. And some people were, but then they left. And again, it should never be on one person's shoulders. It should be the whole community taking this step forward. So now I'm taking this step forward as a breeder. Luna Geckos is taking this step forward as a breeder. Geckopia is taking this step forward as a breeder. And we're reaching other breeders like yourselves that are now taking the step forward as well. Like Junior's Geckos and Tucson's Finest Geckos. These are new, young people in the hobby that are now beginning to take the step forward as well because they're encouraged by other people who have taken the step forward or they see a need for it. You know? Like, I love sharing videos. I would do it even if I was the only person to ever do it and it never made an impact. I love doing it. But the fact of the matter is, the more that I share, the more that you get excited. The more that you get excited, the more that you share. The more that you share, the more that other people get excited. The more that other people get excited, the more that they share. Do you see how it grows? And the leopard gecko hobby just dropped that ball a long time ago and just never pursued it. In 2010, that ship should have sailed in 2010. But hey, we're at where we're at. We're here. We're making changes now. Yeah, Sasabek was the guy that I learned from, and his videos are 10 years old. 10 years old. I'm learning from leopard gecko videos that are 10 years old, right? Like, where's the relevance in that? And YouTube can't even recommend any new content. They're still recommending content from 8 years ago because that's all they got on that topic. Now, thankfully, if you start searching leopard gecko content now, YouTube will start recommending GeekyGeckoCreations, Geckopia, Luna Geckos, because we are fresh, relevant, new content. But right underneath us, or even above us, is going to be Brian Check from 8 years ago, Sassleback Reptiles from 10 years ago. Like, that's crazy. For 10 years, people were not producing content on YouTube. The number one, well, new search engine in the world. Number one is Google, which owns YouTube. Do a Google search. Guess what the top recommendations for Google are? YouTube videos before it even recommends websites. Well, ads, and then YouTube videos, and then Facebook groups and websites. Crazy, guys, crazy. We just there's no other excuse for it. We need to be producing content. Pixely. Oh, sorry. I guess on my screen, it's not so pixely, but I guess for you guys it is. Yeah, Brooke's putting in overtime right now for sure. No, you don't have to pay for it, Brooke. It's yours. If you want it, it's yours. Next time you're here, I'll give him to you. I just wanted to make sure that you can have him and that, you know, you wouldn't have any issues keep bringing home a rat because I don't know how many people could just bring home a rat and be like, hey, Dad, here's a rat, you know? Plugging in my phone. But guys, I can't stay very much longer because I want to edit the video. If you missed it, I spent a good portion of the day today building this rack and making a video of it. And I want to edit the video so that you guys can learn how to build your own rack finally. I get a lot of questions about that. In the future, I'll make a video about setting up heat tape and stuff. But for now, I will leave a link in the description of that video of how to set up the heat tape. I just didn't have enough time today or strength or energy to do it because the whole day took just the rack mainly and the video, you know what I mean? So maybe tomorrow or maybe another day, while that rack is empty, I'll shoot a video on how to do the heat tape. But again, we are running an ambient room setup in this room, so I actually don't need to put any heat tape on that rack. But so I guess, oh, I thought she named it Pixie or Pixely, but no, that was just... Go get that rat before it gets fed. Do you have a favorite and a least favorite part of breeding? Ooh, that's a good question. Man, breeding is fun. When I pair the male with the female, that is fun. When I pull eggs, that is fun. When I hatch babies, that is fun. Okay, least part that I like about breeding the leopard geckos right now is recording data. Now, I love data. I think data is so useful. I think more hobbyists and breeders especially should be recording data that we can share with people. But data is a hassle. I mean, take a look at some of my data points right here. I have to look at this screen every single night. These are, and this goes way up. You know what I mean? So I can scroll. These are all of our hatchlings from this year. So as I scroll up, these are all the hatchlings and the recordings that I've made this year. Red means that the gecko died for whatever reason. But there's dad, mom, baby. Oh, actually, hold on. Let me show you. Yeah. Dad, mom, baby. The date that the egg was laid, the date that the egg hatched, and then any notes that I want to make about that egg. You know what I mean? So coming up with, I love organization, but coming up with the genetic codes and to make sure that I never use a code twice, to make sure I record all the data. And these are our babies. This is the easy data sheet. The hard data sheet, take a look at this puppy. All of those black outlines are eggs that need to be checked today. So this is a nightly thing. All of those black outlines, all of that gray are females that are done. All of the yellow are females that are laying. The black outlines are females that need to be checked for eggs tonight. And then this list goes down a long ways. And it also goes over a long ways because this is for the first clutch, the second clutch, the third clutch. And what am I recording for each clutch? For each clutch, I'm recording the mom, the dad, when they paired, if the female, when the female was ovulating. Hold on, let me see if I can. I have this data sheet, by the way, and a video to show you how to make or how to use the data sheet. And I give it to you. I give this data sheet to you. It's in one of our videos. But here's all the information I record. 2021. Female, weight, when she started ovulating, when I attempted to pair her because she doesn't always go the first time. Notes about that pairing, when she actually paired, the male that she paired with. Notes about the male that she paired with. If I repaired that male, when her first expectant clutch is, and then the yellow is her first clutch. And then the process repeats itself all over again for clutches 2 through 8. So here again, what is this? Oh, the condition of the eggs. Wait, hold on. Oh yeah. So after the eggs hatch, then it's the condition of the eggs, what temperature the eggs were incubated at, and then if I need to repair the female again, and then the next expected lay date, and then another notes section, and then the next time the gecko lays. You see, I love keeping track of data, but for my eyes' sake and my sanity's sake, that is my least favorite part of my daily routine. I love pulling the geckos, matching the geckos, being the gecko matchmaker. I love all of that. But keeping track of it all, that's the beast. That's the burden that I hope to pass off to Brooke one day. Or somebody else, employees, Okay. Yeah, let me know where you are. We are definitely going to be looking for volunteers, interns, and employees as time goes on, for sure. Yeah, do a poll on Instagram, Brooke. I'll take a picture and send it to you as well, so that you can have a picture for the rat. He has such a nice personality. He's the sweetest rat, or she. I don't know if it's a he or she yet. So sweet. I'm glad that I don't have to feed the rat off to the snakes. So, so hatchlings patterns change for the first 6 months of the gecko's life. And then once the gecko is about 6 months old, then the pattern and the color lock into place, but the pattern and the color will dull out little by little as time goes on. Oh no, he's releasing them. Nice, congratulations. Yeah, so if you're looking at holdbacks, my honest opinion for holdbacks, you would want to keep them at least 2 to 3 months. That is what okay, let me say this, Jay Harris. At 1 month old, the pattern will begin to expand and take its final form. At 2 months old, it will begin to change color. And at 3 months old, it's going to continue to change color until it's 6 months old. So once it's about 2 months old, 2 to 3 months old, that's your holdback time. Because you can tell what the pattern is going to look like as a whole, and you could tell how the colors are developing. But the colors tend to get better and better until they're about 6 months old. So yeah, I bought the chameleon skin in Apex because it was the only reptile skin, and I really liked it. So our super white and yellow is a thing. So more information to come on the super white and yellow, but I've talked to other breeders, and I will be doing my own data and research, but other breeders have told me there's no way to create a super white and yellow. Meaning that if mom has a white and yellow gene and dad has a white and yellow gene, you won't create a form that expresses differently with 2 copies rather than 1 copy. But the question that I have is, shouldn't the baby still have 2 copies, even if it doesn't change the appearance of the animal with the second copy? It changes the effect of the pass down rate, right? So if you have a super snow, which is 2 copies of the snow gene, it has a 100% pass down rate. 100% it is going to pass on the super snow gene. But the breeder that I was talking to said that the white and yellow gene, he has not observed it working in this way. Meaning that a gecko cannot biologically have 2 copies of a gene. But I will be putting this to the test, recording my own data, and then releasing the information to you as well. Because scientifically, it should have 2 copies of the gene, or there should be a scientific explanation that I will ask every geneticist that I encounter from this point until the end of my days in this hobby to explain why that would not be in this case, so I could get a firm grasp on it if that is the case. Or the cases that just not a lot of people made accurate documentation and observation, and there really is a 2 gene form, which might not look different than the 1 gene form, but has a 100% pass down rate compared to a 50% pass down rate. Just ever wondering, have you done a video on dubia breeding? No video. I've talked about it in a lot of my live streams. It is on my to-do list to make a video about breeding and sifting and selling dubia roaches, because that's how we're making our living right now. And so you can see all of that is dubia roach breeding. All of that is dubia roach breeding. And then I still have to make a video on sifting and breeding to come in the future. I'm glad, Josh. Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, that means a lot. Yeah, I actually talked to David's Fine Geckos. He had to get out of the hobby. Good dude. He had to get out of the hobby because he developed a mealworm allergy, because when he was working with his leopard geckos and dumping their poo into the trash, he didn't realize, but fine particles of mealworm, leopard gecko poo and mealworm, you know, poo and all that kind of stuff was getting into his lungs, and it wound up creating an allergy for him. So now when I work with insects, I use a N95 mask. You want to go to Amazon, order an N as in Nancy 95 dust mask. Those will protect you from developing the allergies that sometimes people develop in this hobby. So I started breeding leopard geckos and collecting them again with intent to become a company 3 years ago. I always kept reptiles ever since I was young. I'll probably do a history video on my exact history. That's a good recommendation. I'll write that down and do that. I talk about it in some of my videos, but I really got more serious about it and into it 3 years ago. And I really got full-time into it over the last 6 months. I've been full-time into it. Brooke, carry the torch. Yes, I will see you guys. I'm getting ready. I'm wrapping up the last questions now, just seeing if I missed anything, and then I'm actually going to wrap it up so that I can eat, do a little video editing, and some other breeding and cleaning stuff that I got to get done tonight. Cinnamon. Oh, Gecko Boy's recommending cinnamon. We can do polls, one on your Instagram and one on mine. Then Facebook gets to pick between the two. Okay, we'll do that. Brooke and I are going to set up polls for the rat's name. I'm going with Ratatouille. Ratatouille, I think. Or what was that little rat's name? Okay, guys. I always forget the name of this show, but there was a little rat cartoon, and the little baby rat lived underneath the lawn of humans, and the little baby rat died of pneumonia. I can't remember the name of this rat series. Or it was a little baby mouse. And then the rats in that series were the bad guys, and they were like attacking the mice. Let me know if you know what I'm talking about, but yeah, David's a good dude. Now he distributes heat tape for FlexWatt. And that's how I got to speak to him over the phone. Was he's a wholesaler rep of heat tape, and we are a wholesale purchaser, so that we could sell retail to like anyone who wants to buy less than like 1,000 feet, right? Anyway, if you want to buy over 1,000 feet, you talk to him. If you want to buy whatever amount, you could talk to us, because we now have a couple thousand feet of heat tape. But yeah, I'll let you know, because I'm breeding white and yellow together to other white and yellows this year. And also I'm also breeding white and yellows to lemon frost or frosty Turks to see what happens, to see if it makes it worse. You know what I mean? So that, you know, I'm just documenting everything so that we know what roads to go down, what roads not to go down. And it's just a whole test right now, but Yeah, David was cool. He had some good stuff. But I appreciate it, guys. I'm going to tune out here, get something to eat. My butt is literally hurting sitting on this hard chair. I mean, look at this hard chair. This thing is like metal. But I've loved being with you guys. Please keep an eye out for the rack build for this video. That will be coming probably tomorrow or Wednesday. And please tell your friends and tune in Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Same time we start this live stream, 7 to 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We are going to have Bob Vu of Bob's Balls, Bob's Ball Pythons, here on the show. We're going to talk business. We're going to talk investment. We're going to talk animals, employees. We're going to talk growth. We're going to talk amazing projects that he's working, everything. So love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Good night again. Have a Geeky Gecko great night, and I will see you guys later. Peace.